It's a strong draft class. It is absolutely stacked.
Bang! And May will keep it and to the end zone for Drake May.
It's caught. Here's Harrison. It's
Touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr. Backed up and taken down by Jared Verse. It's broken up by Terry and Arnold. The field and it's intercepted. Arnold. Daniels. Back right corner of the end zone. Drops it in. He's got Bowers. Touchdown. Bowers. He's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Dallas Turner chased him down. To the end zone. Neighbors holds it in again. To the 10, to the 5. And Williams takes a shot up the field. Has Washington.
Welcome everybody to Mock Draft Live. Can't believe it. NFL Draft is almost here, just a few weeks away. Colleen Wolfe here with Bucky Brooks, Daniel Jeremiah. Lance Zierlein is our guest of honor. He has his latest mock draft out right now, 3.0. I'm so excited about this. Lance, how do you feel about your mock? You feeling good? You feeling strong? You feeling ready?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling like I'm locked in, so I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, shall we start right at the top of the draft with the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams? You're not going to zig while everyone else is zagging. This makes sense.
No. I mean, look, let's face it. By this point, we know this is going to be Caleb Williams. I think Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus understand they want to get their guy in. They want to reset the rookie contract. And more importantly, I think that Ryan Poles just wants to see what this team will look like with a little better pocket passer. So for me, this is a good pick, and then it builds up to whatever the next pick in the first round is going to be, and that's coming up here in just a second.
All right, well, let's get to it here. Moving to the 2nd overall pick, another quarterback to meet his new family. Jaden Daniels headed to Washington.
Okay, so one of the things I considered is that Cliff Kingsbury had a lot of success with Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M in the 1 year he called plays for him. Then he, had Kyler Murray, who he basically handpicked. I think he wants to have a guy who can work from the pocket but is mobile as well, and that is the definition of what we're dealing with here with Jaden Daniels. He is a true dual-threat quarterback who is a good passer as well. I loved what I saw from him this year. I think he's a nice addition to that team, and I think he actually fits what Cliff Kingsbury likes to do there in Washington.
Yeah, and after starting 10 different quarterbacks over the last 5 seasons, Washington could use some consistency. Lance, we have our first trade here. Coming in hot at 3, you have the Giants moving up to take their quarterback, Drake May.
Look, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a stare down between the Vikings and the Giants about who can move up and get their quarterback earliest. And I think New England, they've got a long way to go. So I think they're going to be willing to trade back with the Giants. It's not a very it's not a very long step backwards. You still get your hands on a great player. And the Giants get a guy for Brian Daboll to develop. And let's face it, he developed Josh Allen. You could take a look at Drake May, some of his physical attributes, some of his play attributes, and maybe see a little bit of Josh Allen in there. So I think for the Giants, this really makes a ton of sense. It's not working right now with Daniel Jones. This could be the aggressive move they need to make.
All right, let's bring in the rest of the crew here to talk a little bit about this. DJ, aside from who's catching and running the ball in New York, thoughts on the Giants stepping up and out for May as their quarterback of the future?
Well, I'm not going to look down on Lance, even though I can just look down and see him right below me here, because I like this. I like this move for the Giants. And to me, you mentioned Daboll thinking maybe this is his Josh Allen. This is an aggressive quarterback, the way that Drake May plays. And when you go through the video, you can see some of the differences there with Daniel Jones. Both great athletes. Daniel Jones just plays a little more reserved, whereas Drake May is going to go for it. He's going to push the ball down the field with that powerful arm. This is a great example of not only touch and accuracy, but the awareness. You get a free rusher, he drifts away from him, lofts this ball beautifully over the shoulder. The creativity, the ability to make things happen when things aren't clean and crisp in front of you, to escape and make it work. Again, the creativity. How about a little, speaking of Mahomes, you're talking about him with Caleb Williams, a little lefty toss here against Pitt for a touchdown. And then if it breaks down, similar to Daniel Jones, take off, go, make some things happen with your legs. One aspect of this that I find fascinating is if this trade did happen, and I think this is a legitimate possibility, is would Daniel Jones be in the trade going to New England? That's the question that I would ask, would make this even more interesting from a Patriots standpoint.
You know, it's funny. I love the comparisons that Drake May put out there doing his pro day. He talked about wanting to be like Josh Allen. He felt like he patterns his game after Josh Allen. And I'm looking at the tape and I see some of those things, but I also see a little bit of Justin Herbert. And part of that is just the prototypical size, the arm talent, the athleticism. He has all of those things. And so we talk about putting Justin Herbert and Josh Allen in a blender and it produces Drake May. I think any NFL quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, franchise would love to have a combination of those two guys as their QB1.
You know, and I think one of the things you have to consider is the guy mentally tough enough to handle New York media, to handle New York fan base? There's weather issues potentially at times, but more than anything, I don't think Zach Wilson had what it took to withstand the difficulties of dealing with adversity in a New York market. I think that there is some of that with Drake May. I think he does have some of that mental toughness, and that's going to be a very, very important facet. No matter who New York drafts ever, you've got to have a quarterback that has some mental toughness.
And you look at the history that the Giants just over the last couple of years, at the end of the 2022 season, Brian Daboll, he won Coach of the Year. Daniel Jones got the extension. Saquon Barkley was franchise tagged. And then end of last season had the worst scoring offense in the NFL. Daniel Jones tore his ACL, and now Saquon Barkley is with the Eagles. So they could use a pendulum swing in the other direction, little positivity coming their way. All right, so this is something that we've never seen before in modern draft history. Lance, this is unprecedented. 4 straight quarterbacks to begin the draft, and it's the Vikings trading up with Arizona for Michigan's J.J. McCarthy.
Well, look, DJ chose violence with his 4-quarterback approach in his last mock, and I just try to copy everything Daniel Jeremiah does. I'll just be honest with you.
Smart.
But let's be honest. Look, the Vikings have made it very clear with their previous trade with the Houston Texans. They're coming up. They're trying to gather enough capital to move up. And if they don't get the number 3 pick, I think trader Monty Austinford is going to be more than happy to move back, take up some more draft capital, and let Kevin O'Connell get his quarterback. And I feel like Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy is a great mix and match of styles and blends of types of quarterback along with the offense that he runs. So I think it'd be an aggressive move to jump up and grab McCarthy that early. But if you don't get your hands on 4 quarterbacks fairly quickly, there are others behind you who will jump up and do it. And I think the Vikings will be one of those players for the top 4 picks. And so I put them at number 4 here.
The Vikings have never drafted a quarterback in the top 10, but this is a brave new world, Bucky. So what do you think about the trade, the fit, all of it in general?
Well, I love the fit.
Okay.
And I like the fact that sometimes you got to do the first time for everything. There's a first time for everything, and this is the first time for the Vikings to go and get a franchise quarterback in the top 10. When you look at J.J. McCarthy and you imagine him joining Kevin O'Connell, there's a lot to like about that potential pairing. I like the velocity and accuracy. This guy can make tight window throws. I love the fact that he is able to throw with touch, timing, and anticipation. There we see him fit it in between 2 Buckeye defenders. But he also has the athleticism. This is the added dimension that all of the new school quarterbacks have. They can escape, they can create, they can make plays with their feet. They can make these special plays happen out of the structure of the offense. And I just think that the Minnesota Vikings want to have a young quarterback that it can develop. Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, being able to put him in that quarterback-centered room. And remember, Sam Darnold's in the place, so he doesn't have to play right away. I just love all of the features and aspects of this potential move.
Yeah, it's interesting, Buck, when you look at J.J. McCarthy, because people are always looking for comparisons and who does he remind you of. You know, I actually, when I watch him, I thought, okay, there's some Alex Smith elements to him in terms of the efficiency, winning a lot of ball games, similar frame, maybe has a little more life, a little more juice in the arm, but both really good athletes. And it was after I'm watching this thing and this, I'm like, well, wait a second. Alex Smith had his career kind of revived by Jim Harbaugh. J.J. McCarthy played underneath Jim Harbaugh. So there's a lot of similarities between these two guys, and I think he would play a very efficient brand of football for Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings.
And this works out, too, for the Cardinals because they have their quarterback already on the roster. They can leverage this pick, obviously, now and for the future as well. We go to 5, where Jim Harbaugh, he was right. He said that this is where the draft begins, and they fill a big need as well with the wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., Lance.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a tough choice between Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I have Malik Neighbors with a very, very small edge over Harrison, but they're just neck and neck. I do think Marvin Harrison may be hurt a little bit by the fact that he hasn't worked out at all, and Malik Neighbors just had a really strong workout, certainly tested really well. But at the end of the day, this is Jim Harbaugh making this selection. He's seen the last 2 games he's had against Ohio State, big games for Marvin Harrison. So I think he's going to go with what he knows. You add another weapon, and it's a guy that Jim Harbaugh is very familiar with thanks to the Michigan-Ohio State matchup.
And speaking of Malik Neighbors, now the Patriots are up after swapping with the Giants, and there he is, LSU's own, Lance.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors to me would be an easy selection, should be an easy selection for New England if they back up into this spot. They need a wide receiver. Yes, they need quarterback, but go get good players. And why not get one of the best players on the board? And that's going to be Malik Neighbors. He's got 3-level potential. He can work short, deep, intermediate. He's a very good ball winner with tremendous speed. And I think, the route running is very unpolished, which is not a bad thing. It just means he's got more room for growth in that area. I think this would be a great pickup for the New England Patriots if they're able to get to this 6th spot and grab Malik Neighbors.
It's been forever since the Patriots have had a 1,000-yard receiver. So, DJ, what do you think about the Patriots skipping a chance to get a quarterback at 3 and then taking Neighbors at 6?
Well, I would explain it this way, Colleen. If you like a quarterback at 3, go ahead and trade down because you have a bunch of other needs. If you love a quarterback at 3, even with the roster in rough shape, to me, I would stick and pick the quarterback. If you love him and you have the grades on a quarterback, then you can make the case, okay, we don't have to rush him out there. We've got Jacoby Brissett. We don't have to throw him to the wolves, so to speak. But if you're not in love with one, a trade down and getting this guy right here, Malik Neighbors, that can be a cornerstone piece for them moving forward with the understanding that you're still searching for that next guy at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I certainly understand wanting to take the best player available, and Malik Neighbors would be in that conversation based on the grades that he commands come out of LSU. But I look at the New England Patriots, and they don't really have anyone who can throw it. You talk about a roster that has plenty of holes. It's kind of hard to think a franchise that understands how to build it from the ground up is going to start with a perimeter playmaker on the outside. In this draft, he's certainly worthy of being that. But in terms of being a cornerstone player that you're going to build around, wide receiver is typically not the way that you go.
I think that's a very fair argument, Bucky. I do think that DJ brought an interesting element. What if they trade with the Giants and Daniel Jones is part of that deal? Now, that doesn't mean that they've got their answer at quarterback, but maybe Daniel Jones would really benefit from having a Malik Neighbors and just a change of scenery. So that would be something interesting if that becomes part of a potential deal between New England and the Giants.
So you got to go back to, 2019? Julian Edelman was the Patriots' last 1,000-yard receiver. And it feels way further back than 2019 that Julian Edelman was on the team there in New England. That was Tom Brady's last season with them as well. So a lot of surprises in the top of Lance's mock picks, 1 through 7 here. The quarterbacks are king. They always are, going 1, 2, 3, 4, which again has never happened in NFL history. The Giants and Vikings trade up to get Drake May and J.J. McCarthy, while the Patriots trade back and draft Malik Neighbors. And the Titans, they'll get Will Levis some help up front with offensive tackle Joe Alt. I can tell you this, there will be plenty more offensive linemen to go in Lance Zierlein's draft as well. And the draft, it is almost here, just a few weeks away. We're going to Detroit. Come with us Thursday, April 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Will we see 4 quarterbacks go off the top? Who's wheeling, who's dealing, and who gets fleeced? Catch it all, the entire draft, right here on NFL Network and NFL Plus. Coming up, the Falcons are on the clock, and they need edge rushers. They always do. So who will be looking so fresh and so clean in ATL? Plus, the rest of Lance's latest mock, still to come on Mock Draft Live.
Up and taken down by Jared Verse. Under pressure, and he is wrapped up and sacked. And that is Jared Verse.
The Falcons have the 8th pick, and if it feels like they're always picking there, it's because they are. 3 straight years, and Jared Verse is their guy this time around.
I love Jared Verse. He's a powerful player. He is good against the run, good against the pass. He had a great combine, worked it out well, tested really well. He's very physical, very tough, and I think Raheem Morris, when you want to get a guy to start your defense up the right way, Raheem Morris, the defensive guy, I'd grab the guy who can play both ways, not only a rusher, but also a run stopper as well. And he's built right. He's wired right.
All right, let's go to the Bears. They're back up on the clock, and after grabbing Caleb Williams at 1, they double down on offense, Lance, with Washington receiver Rome Odunze at 9.
I mean, I just keep putting Odunze with the Bears in every mock draft. Every scenario I have, I see them grabbing Odunze, and I just think this is destined to happen. He makes for a great ball winner. He played in the Pac-12 along with Caleb Williams. I think there's some work he's got to do on playing fast. He's faster than he plays sometimes because he's so confident with his jump ball ability. But I think he's the type of ball winner that you love to have. Reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald some. A little bit of DeAndre Hopkins in there, but he is a guy who's going to go out, get the ball for you, and score a lot of touchdowns here in the future with Caleb Williams.
And you're in agreement with both DJ and Bucky because all of you have that in your latest mocks as well. Let's move to the Jets to finish out the top 10. And Lance, Brock Bowers is heading to New York for Aaron Rodgers.
You know, I think Brock Bowers I think the Jets did a really good job of filling up some holes. Look, they added some offensive line pieces that are one-year deals. So, you know, you could look at that and say they still need help. But what they've done is they've created an opportunity to go take a player like Brock Bowers who can really help set the offense up, help Aaron Rodgers get the most out of him for 1 year. You're basically on a one-year deal with Aaron Rodgers every year. So why not give him the weapons he needs? And I think Brock Bowers is a unique weapon for him in this particular spot.
And he also gets a skill position player in the first round, Aaron Rodgers, something that he has been desperate for. Another edge rusher goes at 11 after trading back. The Cardinals get Alabama's Dallas Turner.
Yeah, I'm going to have the Cardinals move up with that 23rd pick they got from the Minnesota Vikings that previously was the Houston Texans. And look, you can't just keep stockpiling picks. You've got to eventually put your foot down and start taking some players that you love. And so I think Monty Ossenfort goes and gets a pass rusher. They need rush help off the edge. It's something that's a big problem for them. And this is a guy who was a tremendous tester. He's got the pedigree coming from Alabama. He's long, explosive. And to me, this would be a great move up the draft board for Monty Ossenfort to grab a defensive end, a pass rusher like Dallas Turner.
And Dallas Turner, he's a partner in his dad's investment firm, so now he just adds some funds with that first-round contract.
That's right.
Before we get to 11, though, let's get into the edge rushers a little bit here because the Falcons at 8 with Jared Verse, DJ. Now Dallas Turner. How much separates the two, and do you agree with that order?
Well, I have it flipped in terms of Dallas Turner over Jared Verse, but I love Jared Verse. They're different styles completely, whereas Dallas Turner can win more with some finesse and some bend off the edge. Jared Verse, we can show the video, is just a rugged wreck shop type rusher. He's going to shake bull you and throw you right back into the quarterback if necessary. This shows up over and over and over again, just putting his hands inside and walking you back. He still has the speed. He can win with that speed off of the edge. There's just not a lot of finesse. He's not someone that's real polished with his hands, but he wins with his quickness and then he wins with his power. And it usually is a quick win. It's usually over very early. So when I watch Jared Verse, if I'm watching tackles and I want to study offensive tackles and I want to test their breaks and see if they have any anchor, you put on the Florida State tape because you know Jared Verse is going to test them in that fashion. So if you're a little narrow, Bucky, as an offensive lineman, you're going to have trouble. When I say narrow, I'm talking narrow like Lance's bookshelf background, like that narrow. You are in big trouble.
Here it is, Lance.
Yeah,
What a setup.
You talk about being in big trouble. It is a little tiny, a little narrow space for Jared Verse to have to work into. But I do love what he brings. You talk about a dynamic pass rusher, a guy that plays hard, love the motor, the relentless energy and the competitive spirit that he plays with. And DJ, you're right. He's one of the few guys that can play with force or finesse off the edge. And because of that, he has a good chance to be a perennial double-digit sack artist off the edge.
Look, this rush has 4 different rushers who are all completely different that will all go in the first round. I think that's going to be one of the cool things is to see how different teams prioritize different elements of edge play. Because as Daniel mentioned, man, it doesn't get much different from Turner to Verse, and then Chop Robinson's extremely raw, where Latu, and we'll take a look at those names here in a little bit, is unbelievably polished. So really 4 extremely unique different types of players off the edge, and these should be the first 2 to go no matter which order.
Lance, I just want to say that I think your background is great.
this.
It's new.
You can have
We went
this.
Thank
years with a Sally Jesse Raphael
Thank you.
background. I thought that was going to happen again this year, so new times.
No.
It's a brand new mock
Change it
draft
up.
live
Yeah.
show. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go to Denver, picking at 12. And Lance, no quarterback here. They go cornerback instead with Quinyon Mitchell.
Denver's a tricky one. They have no second round pick this year, so I don't know if they'll be able to move up in the draft and get their quarterback. If not, why not address the cornerback need opposite Pat Surtain? That's been a big issue for them, is finding the right corner. Not anymore. Quinyon Mitchell has size. He has unbelievable speed. He was terrific in the Senior Bowl. He's got ball skills and was an explosive tester combine. About every box you could possibly check, he checks. And I think this is a really good need selection for the Denver Broncos in this spot.
Yeah, building an all-new no-fly zone. Let's stick in the AFC West, though, with the Raiders up next. And Lance, you're sending Alabama tackle J.C. Latham to Vegas.
Let me tell you, Al Davis would have loved J.C. Latham. He's got rare, lean muscle mass. He's a powerhouse with long arms, great strength at the point of attack. I think he's an elite run blocker. He has elite run blocking potential as a power player. And to me, if he doesn't work out at tackle, which I think he will, if he doesn't work out, you can move him to guard, and I think he has the potential to be a Pro Bowl caliber guard. So, this is something that the Raiders really have needed for a little bit, and I think he really solidifies either right tackle or right guard, whichever one you want to plug him into.
Okay, at 14, our third tackle gets the call. Lance anoints Penn State's Olu Fashanu a Saint.
Olu Fashanu, he is a player with good traits. He's got good length, good size. I think the problem you have with him is he's a little bit inconsistent with his hands, a little inconsistent with some of his technique. But some of that can be really helped out by just getting stronger and having a greater belief in his core strength. He's not the best run blocker, but he is a good pass protector, and that's something in desperate need at left tackle for the Saints.
Yeah, especially with Ryan Ramczyk's injury. Okay, almost halfway through. It's the Colts move at 15. And Lance, you have Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy II landing in the land of Lucas Oil.
I don't think Chris Ballard can help himself. Look, they need wide receiver, they need cornerback, they could use a safety, they could use offensive line help. But if Byron Murphy's there with his lean mass, with his ability to play on all three downs, to disrupt inside the pocket, that's what he believes in, and the Colts believe in, is winning football, disruptive football up front.
All right, pick 16, more movement. The Cardinals move up with the Seahawks, and they get a receiver, a burner, Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU.
Yeah, actually, I misspoke earlier. I had them trading up for Dallas Turner. That's the pick they had at 11. This is the trade up. Brian Thomas moving up. This is a great trade up for Monty Ossenfort. Go get the wide receiver you need. Don't sit back and wait. He's clearly the fourth best wide receiver in this draft, and I think he's going to be a hot commodity because of that. He is a great tester, tremendously productive from a touchdown standpoint, and there's a lot of teams that like Brian Thomas a lot. So I think Arizona, because they need somebody for Kyler Murray, they appear to be locked in on Kyler Murray. Let's go get him a touchdown maker with size, ball skills, and speed, and that's Brian Thomas on the trade-up.
And we've seen Kyler Murray with a number one wide receiver before with DeAndre Hopkins. They were really good together, so let's see if they can recreate some of that magic now here with a new number one wideout. So the Cardinals, they trade back from 4. They get Dallas Turner at 11. Then they trade up with the Seahawks to 16 in Lance's mock and get Brian Thomas Jr. So DJ, what would Thomas bring to this Cardinals offense?
Well, first of all, I hope Monty's has like a Red Bull or a 24-hour energy or something like that, the way Lance has got him moving around the board here. Goodness gracious. To me, with Brian Thomas, you're getting a big-time vertical threat who has the size to win in contested catches, but with his speed, I don't know how many contested catches you're going to have because he runs away from folks. And you saw it in the SEC, especially when they would let him work inside with all that field to work with. It was one vertical strike after another, and as you can see in the video, there's another gear he can tap into. So this would give a vertical presence to this offense. I like this move.
Yeah, I love this move. And you talk about a vertical playmaking threat. Kyler Murray wants to utilize all areas of the field. Brian Thomas Jr. allows him to do that. You talk about a smooth, fluid, explosive, and dynamic playmaker. Even though I would say he was kind of in the shadows last season when you think about Malik Neighbors, what he was able to do. This dude puts the ball in the paint. time after time again. I love him as a potential number one with opportunities to play with a franchise quarterback like Kyler Murray.
In the shadows, he also led the FBS with 17 receiving touchdowns, so he can bring some of that firepower to the desert and the Cardinals as well. All right, coming up, we have a run on defensive players in Lance Zierlein's latest mock. Find out who's heading to Jacksonville, LA, Pittsburgh, and more. That's all coming up next.
Excellent break on the ball from Arnold. Picked off by Terrion Arnold. He made the play.
So it's Jacksonville up, poised to improve their secondary, and I'm seeing a trend with Alabama corner Terrion Arnold.
Why not? I mean, he's a really good cornerback. He can take the ball away. I think if he ran a little bit faster, he'd probably be a top 10, 12 pick. Who knows? He may still be. But I think when you look at Jacksonville, they added Ronald Darby. That's not really good enough. It's short term at best. So I think Arnold, from a football character standpoint, a personal character standpoint, and just flat old football player standpoint, he's a good fit over there in a division that features C.J. Stroud now.
And the Jags allowed the 7th most passing touchdowns in the NFL last year. They absolutely need some help in the back end of that secondary. So almost as rare as a solar eclipse, guys. We have agreement across the board. DJ, Bucky, Lance, and Eric all have the Jags taking Terrion Arnold. Will Trent Baalke prove you all correct? You'll have to watch on NFL Network, 8 p.m. Eastern on April 25th, right here. But it seems like someone who could make an impact, an instant impact, presented by Microsoft Surface. And Terrion Arnold right there in Jacksonville. Bucky, you're our Jags authority at this point. So how would he change the dynamics in Duval?
Well, he would give them a terrific player on the corner who has the versatility to play multiple spots in the secondary. Think about Ryan Nielsen coming over from the Atlanta Falcons, implementing a different defense. Chris Richard working with the defensive backs in particular. So what we know about Alabama DBs, they know how to work nose to nose. They typically come with high IQs because they've been asked to do a lot. And they're going to be tough as nails because you have to tackle to get on the field in that program. Well, Terrion Arnold checks off a lot of boxes for the way the Jaguars want to play and perform. That's why we're seeing so many analysts tied the Alabama standout with the Jaguars in mock drafts.
Yeah, and Bucky, one of the things too, we talk about the play style and, his ability to cover ground, play the football, his toughness as a tackler. There's an energy that he brings that I think teams are drawn to because he brings a lot of juice to the table. When you watch him, you'll see him post-play. There's just so much excitement and enthusiasm with the way he plays the game, which I love. The fascinating thing is we all have him going to Jacksonville. Think about this. He was, at the Combine, he was 5'1", 189, ran 4.5 flat. He was this close to being 6 foot, 190 pounds, running 4.49, and if that's the case, I don't think anybody sees him getting to Jacksonville. That's how crazy the numbers are and how close it can be. The card just looks a little different.
All right, well, let's keep this mock rolling at 18. Lance, you send Joe Burrow, another big man up front. Troy Fautanu, guys. He goes from a Husky to a Bengal and takes that dive into Cincinnati.
Good job.
Nailed it. Look, I love this pick for Cincinnati. You're welcome, Cincinnati, and you're welcome, Joe Burrow. If you wanted him to play left tackle, he can play left tackle. You wanted to play right, he can play right tackle. You wanted to play guard, go ahead. He's got 34-inch arms. He is a powerful run blocker, a lot of caving into the Texas Longhorns in their win over Texas at that Sugar Bowl. But he also is a capable pass protector as well. So I think first and foremost, you get a pass protector with a lot of nasty, a lot of grit, the guy who can really help the running game as well.
Yeah, and Fautanu, I mean, we have a run here of all of these players who, I mean, listen, Leatu Leatu, if you don't know his story, he has a really inspirational story, and the Rams just losing Aaron Donald could absolutely use some help in that department, Lance.
They need edge help. Everything here is based on what the Combine medicals turn up for Leatu, because from a production standpoint, he's him. From the standpoint of being polished as a rusher, hand usage, diversity of rush attack, the toolbox that he has. It's incredible. It's just a matter of, is he healthy or not? I'm going to gamble that the medicals came back clean for the Rams, and he will be their addition.
Let's go Pittsburgh's turn at 20, and Lance drafts a 5th tackle here. Oregon State's Talisa Fuanga now blocking for Russell Wilson / Justin Fields.
Yeah, we're moving the right tackle over to the left side. We've got bookends now at offensive tackle. Of course, they're still trying to figure out if their quarterback situation is the right situation. But one thing they do need is a tackle. And I think Fuaga, for me, is the most technically sound pass protector in this draft on the offensive line. He can run block as well. He is a very, very technically sound player who can come in and start right away.
Let's go to South Beach. The Dolphins at 21 take Penn State's Chop Robinson off the edge.
Here is a guy who's not technically sound just yet and still very, very raw, but he is a freak daddy from an offense or from an explosion standpoint. I mean, rare explosiveness. Reminds you of Micah Parsons a little bit coming off that edge. And you got the Penn State uniform on, but he still needs to learn to play. The production is not relative to what the athletic potential is. But when you look at Miami, they've had a lot of injuries off the edge. I think Chop gives you a chance to come in, learn the position well, and become that super effective player over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, Lance, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips both suffered those season-ending injuries for the Dolphins. So the Eagles now up at 22. Howie Roseman, he drafts a corner in Nate Wiggins.
Yeah, I like Nate Wiggins. I mean, the problem with Nate Wiggins, he's very fast. He can overlap, as you see right here, and make plays on the football. I think he has very smooth feet and hips, so he's got the ability to play in a variety of coverages. I think the one area of concern you have with him is he's a low 170 type of player. I mean, he doesn't weigh a whole lot, and he was even injured after on his combine run. He had an issue with, I think it was a groin or hamstring, which cut him off from the rest of his workout. So I think that's the big concern, is not a big player. So that's, you love the coverage, but you don't love the fact that in run support may be an issue.
Okay, so maybe potentially a cloud of anxiety now around Philadelphia with this pick, Lance. But thank you so much for bringing all of that context into the picture. It's very important. All right, we have more Mock Draft Live coming your way. When we come back, the final 10 picks and Lance's latest mock. Who are the Cowboys, Packers, and Chiefs all taking? Plus, a surprise team trading back into the first round. You're watching Mock Draft Live. Draft season is in full swing, and our daily draft show, it's back, everybody. Our experts are ready to spend the next month putting their final evaluations on every major prospect, plus draft needs for all 32 teams. Get to know the next class of NFL stars. It's Path to the Draft, weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. Rhett Lewis was just in the studio looking for his charger, so he's ready to go for today's show. Guys, make sure you tune in. Now to pick 23, owned by the Seahawks after trading back with the Cardinals, and Lance is mocking Duke's Graham Barton to Seattle.
Yeah, the Hawks need some interior line help, and even though you see him playing tackle there in the first clip, he is going to be a guard or center. I think he's the best one. I think he's the best interior lineman in this draft without question. Great sustainer. My dad was an NFL line coach. I showed him some tape of him over spring break, and he was like, look at the hands, look at the feet, look at how he unlocks his hips. He was all excited.
That's the wildest spring break plans that I've ever heard in my life.
Tape.
Lance loves his linemen, and the Cowboys could certainly use one. Tyler Guyton is the guy for Jerry Jones.
Tyler Guyton is has maybe the biggest upside of any tackle in this draft. Like, he is really, really talented. He's got long arms. He's athletic, but he doesn't have a lot of game experience. So it may take him a little while, but I think you can plug him in there at the right side and have him do have him compete against Steele over there for that right tackle spot. But he is your future right tackle if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
And the Cowboys have nailed almost every single first-round offensive lineman. They have great luck in that department. And we have a new name alert in the first round, everybody. It's the first safety with the 24th overall pick to Green Bay, Minnesota's Tyler Nubin, Lance.
Yeah, so I had to go back and look at how Green Bay drafts, because we already know they're not taking a wide receiver in the first ever. But one thing that they do is take safeties, and that's HaHa Clinton-Dix, Demarius Randall, Darnell Savage. Here's Tyler Nubin, who is a really ball hawking safety, great instincts. He's got size, he's physical, he's smart, he's got a ton of experience. You just added Xavier McKinney at one safety spot. How about adding a safety right next to him and kind of copy what Buffalo did with their success on defense, having two really good safeties? I think that's what Tyler Nubin would add to the Green Bay defense.
Now, DJ and Bucky, neither of you had a safety going in the first round of your latest mocks. So is this a reach, DJ, or just out of necessity that they really need someone to replace Darnell Savage in Green Bay?
Well, I think, look, I have other players rated higher than him, but he's my top-rated safety. And if you're looking at the draft as we're trying to fill a need and plug a hole, I think you could get yourself to that point. Because I don't know that there's that much difference between player 25 or pick 25 and pick 50 in this draft. And I think when it's all said and done, there's going to be a lot of teams that have Nubin as a top 50 player. So I get it. I understand it. It's kind of where we are with this particular draft class, and he is the top safety. But I'll be honest with you, Buck, I can't get out of my head thinking about Lance, his dad, and Dan Cortez at the MTV Beach House spring break. I mean, I just don't know what else is going on there besides them breaking down Graham Barton.
I mean, that's what they're doing.
What their references back,
I mean,
DJ.
Absolutely, MTV being able to do it. But I will say this, DJ, I'm with you. You talk about picks 25 to 50 kind of being the same, because this is a draft where you don't have a ton of players that carry first-round grades. So if you're the Green Bay Packers, you are looking at Tyler Nubin compared to the rest of the players, and you're looking at a need. You have Boston College former head coach Jeff Hadley coming over to install a defense that's a vision and break defense. Why not get a ball hawk to kind of be the ornament atop the Christmas tree to be able to take away some of the balls, the deep balls?
I'm still on spring break. Carmen Electra
you are?
is there. There's like frosted
Oh,
tips.
is
And we're just going over tape.
Is it Cisco dance off? Cisco dance off? Is this what we're doing?
Knows.
I remember that.
All right, let's take a look here at the last few picks of the first round. Lance has the Commanders trading back into the first to grab Georgia tackle Marius Mims. The Cardinals and the Lions get some secondary help, while the Bills get Josh Allen, a new friend, 6'4" receiver A.D. Mitchell, and Jordan Morgan makes his first ever appearance on the show, blocking for Lamar in Baltimore. But guys, I want to talk about the rich getting richer and Ladd McConkey here with the Chiefs at pick 32. I mean, would this pick be a home run at this point for Kansas City with all of the drops that they had last year, Buck?
Yeah, a lot of things going on in Kansas City would make this a very necessary pick. When you think about Ladd McConkey comes in, outstanding route runner, big-time playmaking, play in the slot, but he also can go outside. This is a real dude, and I think people who have started to study the tape see how special he is in terms of his yak ability, his playmaking ability, and to consistently get open against tight coverage. He's a real one, and I think he would certainly work well in Kansas City.
Yeah, it would finally get them to the promised land, huh?
Yeah.
It finally maybe win something around here.
Yeah.
Would be a great fit there for the Chiefs, right, DJ?
Yeah, I like it. I like it, Colleen. By the way, I just Googled bands that performed at the MTV Beach House, and I want to say that Bush was one of them. But no, I like this one. I like this with Ladd McConkey, not only as a route runner, but he can give you a little extra after the catch as well with his speed and his burst. So I like this fit.
I'm just surprised you didn't make a Pauly Shore reference. You know, I like the fact that he is a steady player. He can play inside, he can play outside. He gives you the ability to work all three levels because he does run well. He doesn't drop the ball. I mean, he catches everything thrown to him. So I think Patrick Mahomes would love to have a guy he can count on every single snap, and that's McConkey.
Oh.
You know, Pauly Shore was sitting behind me watching the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year, and I was like, Encino Man? Like, what is going on here?
Wow.
Yeah, so great poll by you. So many surprises, guys, are still to come on this show today. We've had so many already. Just because Lance, his mock has no love for running backs doesn't mean that we've forgotten all about them. We love our running backs. After the break, our guys give their picks for who should be the first running back off the board. You're watching Mock Draft Live. The 2024 NFL Draft, it is kicking off live from Detroit, Michigan, Thursday, April 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch the entire draft right here on NFL Network and on NFL Plus. Michigan running back Blake Corum could hear his name called as early as night 2 of the draft. And to learn more about his skill set and what drives him, here he is in this edition of First Draft.
Y'all ready?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
He has the ability to run over you, to run by you, and to juke you.
I'm a full package.
Corum again, goes airborne and he's in.
I bring that winning mentality because that's the only thing that matters.
It's Corum stretching for that goal line. Touchdown, Michigan.
Blake Corum, University of Michigan, running back. My style of play, I'm versatile.
Nice in and out move by Corum.
Inside zone, outside zone. I can bring the power. I can bring the juke moves, joystick. I feel like I can do it all.
Touchdown, Michigan.
My ability to make last-second reads. I'm really patient. And bam!
And he's in.
My mom and my dad are my inspiration. They literally mean everything to me, and I can't repay them enough for what they've done. They have their own business, and just watching them, just that hustler, that mindset that no one will outwork you, that's where I get my mindset from. So mom and dad, thank you so much. I have a tattoo that means a lot to me, and it's of a house I grew up in for a little bit. My mom grew up in it. My dad's grandfather worked on a farm, but I'm in pursuit right now to try and buy it back. I don't even want to live there. I want to create a camp for kids. I'll call it Farm for All, fully rely on God. So I'm hoping one day I can buy it back and allow other kids from all over the area to come enjoy it like I did. Hearing my name called Draft Night will be truly inspirational because of all the sacrifice and all the hard work. I wanted to be here. I wanted to live out my dream. I wanted to make it to the NFL. So whatever team gets me, just know it's not touchdowns, it's not rushing yards. It's being a team player and trying to bring a Super Bowl to the organization.
Can't wait to see where he lands. Also, I can't wait to see how all of the running backs shake out in this draft because as I mentioned that no running backs in any of your mock drafts at this point in the first round, but let's give them some love because they are the workhorses of the offenses around the entire league. So let's talk about how this is going to go. First running back selected in this draft coming up. DJ, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Marshawn Lloyd from USC. And to me, when I watched him, he's just under 5'9". He's 220 pounds. He ran in the mid 4.4s. Like, it's the perfect running back profile. He showed at the Senior Bowl he'd catch the ball, add that to the mix as well. So I think there's a clump of running backs, but I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd from USC.
Okay, I like the USC standout, but I'm going to go to South Carolina. I'm going to take another guy, but Clemson's guy, Will Shipley. When I look at Will Shipley, I think people are sleeping on him. He has everything that you look for in a running back: burst, vision, balance, body control, can catch the ball out of the backfield, and more importantly, he knows how to put the ball in the paint. To me, if I had to pick and I need a running back, Will Shipley is the guy.
I love Will Shipley. I love the fact that he can do a little bit of everything, but I'm going to get a guy who can really do a lot of everything, and that's Jonathan Brooks. And speaking of sleeping on him, look, he had an ACL tear in late in the fall, but he should be fine for camp. He should be ready to roll and play this year. And he is extremely smooth, loose hips. He has the ability to make sudden cuts and sudden decisions. He can catch it out of the backfield. And I think the thing that really stands out about Jonathan Brooks to me is that he has low tread off the tires too. So when you get him, you're going to get a talented running back who should be a long-time player for you. Well, as long time as a running back can be in one team anymore, I guess.
Hey, Lance, we only get to do one show a year together, and this right here was it. It was an amazing time for me. I hope it was great for you. I hope it was great for everyone watching. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we'll be back with Rhett Lewis's mock draft. Until then, everybody, take it easy.